Dun, 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 dun. Hello, welcome back to Overclock Showcase. The series where I show you overclocks and I put them in my case. Anyway, we're back to Gunner again. Happily so. With the Hurricane, and if you watched the end of the last episode, you would know we got Minelayer System as the next overclock to cover for the series, which was more than okay with me. I'm a big fan of Minelayer System. Frankly, I'm a big fan of just about everything that the Hurricane does except Salvo module. Anyway, so yeah, as usual, I've come up with two of the most distinct builds that I can that I think are passable, basically, to show off the different aspects of the overclock. And I'm actually quite happy with what I've come up with today. I'm actually very glad that I didn't end up reusing one. So there's a bit of a weird thing about Minelayer System, I think, as far as breakpoints goes, because it can actually reach the Hazard 5 Grunt breakpoint with fire or without. And unsurprisingly, the two builds we're going to be using, the main difference is going to be whether or not we're using napalm on the Hurricane. So we got this build is the first one, and the second build is actually over here. It's this guy, this beautiful Hulk Hogan-esque fella. Sure we all love Hulk Hogan right now. He's a really cool guy. Anyway, so we're going to be starting with this one. So let's just quickly go through it. I'll talk a little bit about how I actually feel about Minelayer System in general when we start with the first mission. But anyway, so this one is very much so a kinetic Minelayer System build, very much so focused on explosive power and a sidearm that doesn't inherently complement the Hurricane. Rather, the Hurricane is complementing our sidearm. So tier 1, we have area effect radius. This is the same for both of them. You absolutely want radius, and just to explain a little bit about what Minelayer System does, I'm sure you understand how it works. I'm sure you understand its terms of guidance. It means that when the missiles hit terrain, they turn into mines, which explode when in proximity with enemies. What you might understand is just how much more powerful these mines are than the average rocket. Of course, what you miss out on is direct damage, but what you gain is more area damage than you lose in direct damage in twice the explosion radius. I think it's twice. I'm just going to work with that. I'm not even going to check it, which means that each individual rocket, when they become a mine, will have area damage of 48 and effect radius of 4.4. And the truth is, that's massive. And it really, in my opinion, really puts the PGL to shame. I do like the PGL, but I think it is at its core a pretty underpowered weapon. Because you think about it, you go over the PGL's baseline damage with just 3 rockets. Out of the 324 that we have on this build. And that is, by the way, those 3 rockets is more damage than the baseline PGL. And I think radius-wise, it is actually, and this is crazy, I'm pretty sure it's more. Oh my god, so that's clean sweep as well. So that's with clean sweep. Standard PGL is 4 meters. Actually, it's lower than that. It's actually 3. Which is why I actually am going to fact check what I just said about the Minelayer effects. So just give me a moment. Alright, so here we have Carl.gg. I'm just going to go and find the Hurricane. Minelayer System. Ah, okay. Now, see, this is actually interesting. So it's actually a 1.5 times AoE radius, which means that with a 2.2 effect radius, that's actually 3.3. So it's just plus 50%. But it's 2.75 times area damage, which is kind of wild. So I think I should be able to do that calculation pretty quickly. So it's 48 plus 18 is 66. 66 area damage. So actually, we do outperform a PGL base like default shot with 2 rockets. And that's important because that's how we hit the grunt breakpoint on the 5, even without napalm. I actually used to think it didn't work like that. I used to think you actually had to take napalm to hit the grunt breakpoint. Clearly you don't. However, there is damage fall off to consider. The reason why, though, maybe we don't want to use napalm is because we can use stun instead. And also, what it also means is that we get the benefits of Minelayer System actually being pretty good single target. Oppressors being the exception. But against something like Praetorian, it actually feels really good. Anyway, with explosion radius in tier 1, this doesn't change. The truth about the Hurricane is that yes, it's a weapon with a lot of ammo, but it's actually a weapon where its ammo economy is worse when you take more ammo, which isn't actually insane. It's not actually that uncommon, but it's never this prominent. The Hurricane gets so much more benefit out of the increased blast radius than it does out of the ammo in tier 1. It's crazy. Anyway, tier 2. Tier 2 is an interesting one. We're taking anti-tank missiles mainly to help our secondary. Because I don't feel too strongly that we actually need a high velocity rockets. It is useful with Minelayer System because it means they can reach the ground sooner, which means you can run the risk, by the way, of actually hitting an enemy when you don't want to, instead of hitting the ground, because the missile actually took too long to hit the ground. And either your tracking wasn't quite there, or the enemies are coming towards you, and you maybe jumped and shot at an angle down towards the ground. You can end up hitting enemies when you don't want to. Anti-tank missiles, however, does feel really good in a lot of contexts, especially against things like Praetorians, and also things we want to break armor, like shellbacks and Brundles and that kind of thing. So I think it's worth using. Tier 3 is another one where there's a little bit of element of choice here. I chose to take nano missiles because I really just wanted that excess ammo, because what I said about this actually being surprisingly good at single target is something that we're going to be seeing. A Praetorian, for example, is going to be more of a Hurricane job than a Burt job, the Burt being our secondary. And so I just want such an excessive amount of ammo where I can use it on more things than you might expect. And our secondary is a bit more of a HVT killer and an oppressor killer, because oppressors, they resist explosion damage so much. There is a specific reason, though, why we take fire rate with the other build as opposed to magazine size. I'll explain that when we get to that build. Tier 4, easy, zip fuel. It's never not going to be zip fuel. I mean, it's a 4 damage difference, but in the context of Minelayer System, it's the difference between killing a grunt and not killing a grunt with 2 missiles. So it's really important. I've already explained tier 5, having that stun, it's just such wonderful crowd control. It's genuinely beautiful. There is nothing like, whether you're using fire or not, there is nothing like going against big hordes of grunts with Minelayer System. Anyway, the rest of the build. So sticky grenade, you can go either way. This is actually kind of if you want to use the Burt against a Praetorian, you're probably gonna use a sticky grenade to turn it around. Anyway, our secondary is the Burt, built to sort of be like a precise combat pistol, HVT killing kind of thing, because we're actually, and I quite like this, we're using experimental rounds, which I reckon is probably the second least talked about overclock on the Burt. I assume number 1 is actually composite casings, which is still good, by the way. I believe full chamber seal at least has the status of being one of the most menial damage boosts in the entire game. It's genuinely pathetic. Unlike experimental rounds, which is actually a 9 damage boost, as opposed to lead spray, which adds 12. There's a difference between the two. Experimental rounds has always been an overclock. It's a bit hard to justify, because it's like, it's more damage. Yes, it's actually quite a bit more damage. It's plus 9 per bullet, which brings up to a total of 33, which is 99 damage per shot. I mean, it could actually be more than that. But unlike lead spray, you lose ammo with experimental rounds, which is almost difficult to justify. However, lead spray obviously has a massive accuracy penalty that experimental rounds does not. So not only do we have higher base accuracy, there's no more of a reason to actually spec into accuracy, which I've done here. Taking accuracy in tier 1 was actually a very difficult choice because that damage is so nice, but in the context of this build, the Burt really is a long-range, precise killer. We want to take out things like Spitballers and Acid Spitters and Menaces and Wardens at long range, because our Hurricane really is not long range. We've got slow, unguided missiles. We don't want to be relying on the Hurricane for long range combat. And so we take recoil in tier 2. I think it's the best option. You could probably take reload time, but frankly, I just want this thing to be as buttery smooth at long range as possible, so there's really no caveats. Tier 3 though is damage. The magazine size would be useful. I would actually consider it if I didn't feel like accuracy was essential. But I think we need one of these damage upgrades. It kind of just brings it up to a level that is much more respectable. I mean, it's already just on the cusp of its damage almost not being that impressive. So I think we need at least one of the damage mods. Tier 4 is going to be ammo. That is non-negotiable. The problem with experimental rounds is the fact that when you don't take ammo, you're stuck with this. Your reserve ammo would be 90, which is excuse me. It's autumn, guys. Which is just abysmal. Either way, I mean, I could see it being impressive damage if you take the weak point bonus. Your ammo would be so pathetic. I don't know if I can justify it. I would like to try it. You know, maybe when we get around to doing experimental rounds, that video, maybe I will. I don't know. And then tier 5 stun, standard stuff. It's so it's both a standard burp, but with an overclock that I don't think many people really use. And the reason why I think we can get away with it is because first of all, it does cover for the weaknesses of our primary, but also our primary just has so much ammo, and it's really cool, by the way, that we have so much ammo, despite the fact that the Minelayer system has an ammo penalty, and we're not even taking the ammo upgrade. It kind of tells you there's something wrong with it. That it shouldn't be so ammo efficient that I can say we have loads of ammo, but we do. Anyway, we're starting with a salvage op. I think it's actually a very appropriate mission to really exercise stopping power and sort of what having a mine-laying weapon gives you. The ability to sort of just lay down preemptive area denial is actually really nice for something like salvage op. Anyway, all that being said, I think we better get started, because actually that's probably one of the longer explanations I've done for a build before starting a mission. So I'll see you down there after I climb out of the drop pod hole. Alright, well, here we are, finally in the cave. Don't seem to get anything going on here. Is there a mule in this room? Doesn't look like it. Anyway, it's time to talk a little bit about Minelayer System. And sort of my thoughts going into practicing for this video. And suffice to say, I already said it, I'm a big fan of Minelayer System. I'm a big fan of the Hurricane. I'm starting to have this bit of a not really slow realization. I think that the Hurricane might be my favourite weapon in the game. And it's almost a tough pill to swallow, because I remember when it came out. I remember when the 3rd generation primaries came out. I was pretty disappointed with both the Smart Rifle and the Hurricane. And the Smart Rifle hasn't really worn off yet. And that's because I think the Smart Rifle's overclock selection is pretty bad, actually. Unlike the Hurricane and the Drac. Now, the Sludge Pump is just a fantastic weapon in general, but its overclock selection isn't amazing. It's better than the Smart Rifle, so I'll say that much at least. But, see, it was really the Sludge Pump and the Drac for me that were really elevated the classes, because I think now was a time where I had already realised that I love both Engineer and Gunner, but Scout and Driller did not have much weight for me, or Gen 3. And so I was just so impressed at how good those two weapons were, and I still am. I mean, I'm a big Drac fan, but the truth is, over time I started to realise, and I realise it now, it's the Drac and the Hurricane that have some of the best overclock selections in the game. Like, genuinely just incredible stuff. Every single one is genuinely offering something unique, except with the exception of certain cleans. I think the Hurricane actually avoids that problem. It's just like the Drac has that one clean that is just really kind of pointless as far as the Drac's concerned. But yeah, Minelayer System though. Minelayer System has actually always been one the Hurricane's overclocks I have favour for. And that's because it's always been pretty stable. I don't think it's ever been underpowered at any point and it had to be buffed. I mean, the truth is, it's overpowered. Like, it's kind of undeniably overpowered. But I think it's just general built-in limitations as far as playstyle goes. I think our cause for Ghost Ship to kind of be hard-pressed to see it's overpowered, which I don't really understand, given that they don't balance the game for Hazard 5. They balance it for Hazard 4 and below. Hazard 5 is a bit of a no man's land as far as balancing goes. Glaring issues sort of get covered, but as long as every weapon is viable in some way in Hazard 5, I don't think they're too worried. But that's the thing I don't really understand about Minelayer System. It's so strong that I almost don't understand how it's not beyond overpowered in Hazard 4 and below. So it does surprise me that it hasn't actually been nerfed at any point. Anyway. Now it should get to use it properly. Yeah, guards are the singular weakness of this build because they have a explosive damage resistance, but as you saw, they're just incredibly efficient, just sort of low tier killing, especially with the lower fire rate, because single targets, while we are good against them, we don't shoot rockets very fast. And you will notice that there is a distinct difference between this build and the next as far as fire rate goes on the Hurricane. I don't think we suffer because of it, and I think the stun is actually one of the reasons we don't suffer from not taking rate of fire. I think that stun really helps keep that aspect of things in check, where it's like, yeah, it would be nice if this thing fired faster, but it's also not a detriment that it doesn't. Also, single grunt. There we go. See, that's why basically I used to think that wasn't possible for some reason. Oh, Spitballer. Hello. Oh, I'm going to finish that with tank. Look at this lot. I need to stop playing this game. What use a shield? I'm going to use a shield. Anyway. Wait, what happened to the mines? That's why I placed mines in front of that. Anyway, there's something that we definitely will be doing, I think, with this Stingtail, in fact, is stunning mines, starting with the rocket, and then laying mines next to it to actually kill it. Whoa! First of all, there's too many Stingtails here. How many guards, actually? Don't mind me saying. Oh, no. I know it's going to happen. I don't think I've ever actually been hit by a bulk detonator because of webs before. Come on, mate. Come on. Let me hurt you. Okay. That's not happening. I mean, this is the kind of thing where the mining system doesn't excel against a singular bulk detonator. Although, we definitely have the ammo to make this work. This is kind of one of the reasons why I'm okay with the Hurricane having so much ammo and the Burt not having too much. Because it's enough for us to just kind of play around and sort of brute force a lot of situations. Anyway, apart from my sort of being a little bit, yeah, the Stingtail's kind of fucked with me a little bit. But aside from that, I think you've definitely seen where Minelayer System comes into play. Kind of just keep shooting, and in the right spots, of course. You kind of do need to be making sure you're aiming towards the ground most of the time, but as long as you are, you're going to be taking out large groups of enemies just with such ease. Beautiful, really. There we go. Bit all the way there. It's also actually, I want to just bring this up now, very good against tiny enemies. Now, shockers are probably flying tiny enemies, not so much. I mainly mean swarmers, but still worth keeping in mind. I think I'm gonna focus on that reader. Hold on. Yeah, so, okay, let's talk a little bit about the Burt, actually, because my decision to use experimental rounds was born out of just a want for a bit of nuance, really. I know that it's not actually that great of an overclock, and I think that is being shown here. It's it uses up ammo very quickly, and I wish it didn't. But I still think it's a fair accompaniment to such a... This is such a good weapon. Right. Unfortunately, yeah, Mactera are an issue. Right. Okay, yeah. Okay, there we go. I'd had to lock in for a moment there. I don't know what to say. See you in a second. My problem is definitely the abundance of Mactera. They just so... We don't really have the ammo to deal with lots of Mactera with the Burt, and we just don't have the means with Hurricane. This doesn't have what you need for Mactera when it comes to Minelayer System. Combine it with Sting Tails, which are not like that bad with this. I mean, that should do it right. I mean, actually, that's pretty excessive amount of mines, really. Yeah. But I think you can still definitely see the efficiency that we have against groups of grunts, and also the decent amount of damage we can do to things like Sting. But like, you know, heavily armored targets like Stingtails and Praetorians, it just is just very nice against. Because they don't have inherent explosion resistance. And because the damage is so high, it's what, 66 per rocket. It totals up to a lot of damage pretty quickly. But yeah, flying enemies are just a very obvious weakness. Which is why when it comes to ground-based enemies, we really do want to spam and make sure that our sidearm here, if you are using this exact build, make sure your sidearm is left for the things where it really counts, which is flying enemies and high-priority targets that you can take out in one burst, like acid spitters, I suppose, and web spitters. In fact, Praetorians are almost like I might be willing to say that Praetorians really are a Minelayer System job, Hurricane job, which would actually entail potentially changing the grenade. I don't know if sticky grenades are inherently the best thing for this. In fact, I might say that they're not. Anyway, I'm actually gonna sort out the cargo crate for some reason. Am I putting it up there? It's up there, isn't it? Yeah. I think I will. But we are going to do that core stone, so I'll see you then. And a single shell back. Oh, actually, this is perfect. So I want to do this. Yeah. Yep. And as usual, the weak point is impossible to hit. But sort of placing mines under it as it's sort of centipeding along. Kind of fun. What the? Really? None of them. I'm gonna try and create death trap basically. Okay, go down there. Stay down there. Okay. I guess that was a little bit of just us getting by through spamming, so that's been proven. Let me in. Let me in. Fuck me, what the hell? Oh my god. Oh my god. Can't believe it. Anyway, let's go do that core stone, I think. Actually, I know something we should do. Kill this spitballer with mindless. Now this usually goes better with the fire one. Point out. Oh, okay, good. Right, I don't think there's anything over here. Apart from nitro.
Like the sound of that.
Like nitro. Anyway. They're back. Let's start with a sticky grenade. Well, that's not going to do anything. Lovely. Perfect. Oh, that's actually perfect. Okay, so I assume the skull is... There it is. Look at that guy. Lovely.
Weapon ready.
But yeah, I mean, really, where is the weakness in something that can destroy grunt hordes so easily and so efficiently? When, you know, weaknesses can be covered by a secondary. I don't have the best thing to cover for all kinds of things, like all flying enemies or all kinds of HVTs, because we just don't really have the ammo for it, but I think the actual strength of what our Hurricane is doing is pretty undeniable. Maybe it is excessive. Personally, I might be more comfortable with fragmentation missiles, where I can do pretty much what we're doing here, if with a bit more ammo, but also handle sort of flying enemies and HVTs very efficiently as well, because I have control over the missiles. I still think that might be the best build I've ever, I have, to be honest. And I'm definitely eager to show it off once we get around to fragmentation missiles again, for the first time. But the build showcase does exist on the channel already. Anyway, core stone is something I think we're going to fare pretty well again. In fact, I don't think I'm going to resupply. I don't really need to. I've got the mines to do it.
Help me with the minerals here.
Do it. And then basically just start laying mines around in this sort of radius around the core stone. And we will probably be kept pretty safe from core spawn. I hope I haven't mistimed this. Start blowing up before the core can get here. I hope it's just a bit more core spawn than I thought it would be. Start laying mines already. This is the kind of thing you should be doing during event type scenarios, and this will include when we're doing the actual uplink and the refueling of the drop pod. Pretty much just constantly laying mines, because there's really nothing better to do with your ammo in those kind of scenarios. It looks like we will actually definitively need a resupply by the end of this. There we go. Pretty much perfectly done, I'd say. And it's time to actually finally get on with the mission, I think. So I'm going to sort of wrap things up, start building this uplink, get that core stone deposited. We'll see you when it's time to allay some mines. Or when a pressure wave spawns. Hold on. There's actually a lot.
Bacteria Troy eliminated. Lock and loaded.
Okay. Actually, I think it was important, a bit of an important takeaway. You're going to see it in a much more general sense because we'll get normal enemies, but what you saw with the core stone, just constantly laying mines in a sort of defense scenario is one of the best things that it can do, really. And I think that is exemplified by the stun. I think that's where the fire-based mine layer is a bit more run and gun, where this is a bit more you can hold your ground because you're literally holding the ground with mines. But there is definitely a difference between the play styles we're going to be seeing across the two builds.
Go roll on the highway.
Anyway, let's get on with it. So yeah, I think you are going to see me just start immediately laying mines because, especially because we get through them so slowly because of the fire rate, basically afford to just do this for the entire duration of this part of the mission. But, dead.
Don't waste time. Let's let it walk down.
Triangulation at 50%.
And this benefit having such a like nappy secondary, how quickly we can take out a tri-jaw and just resume the mine laying. Of which there is no real consequence. We've got plenty of nitra. Well, I might stop for a moment.
Triangulation at 75%.
Well, to be honest, we'll probably be okay the rest of this without using the Minelayer system.
Triangulation completed. Remote control reestablished. Stand by. Sending in fresh fuel cells for the drop pod.
Ready to
And there you go. I think that proved it quite well. So we didn't actually have the biggest waves during that, and you never do during just the uplink. It's usually pretty placid, but I mean placid, flaccid, they all work.
Supply pod
But
launched. Better stand back.
this should be a bit more substantial, especially with more enemies on.
Connect them to the drop
Right?
pod.
Is it enemy frequency or more enemies? I can't remember. It's more enemies one. That's how we should be.
resupply pod is here. Everybody collect ammunition.
Charge cable.
Anyway, I'm going to basically. But what I am going to do is just fully stock up anyway on ammo. And I will just constantly be laying mine throughout this unless there's a high value target I need to kill. Which is why I'm not going to cut until the end of the mission, I don't think.
One down.
Nice. Alright, let's do it.
Ammo taken.
I find how nice it is to have a weapon with a basically a one-shot Mactera spawn breakpoint. The tri-jaw thing's annoying though, which is why I'm very tempted to switch the damage back because I think I am going to let this build stay after this video. So I might change back to like more damage to get the one-shot tri-jaw breakpoint, which is honestly a really valuable breakpoint. And it's annoying. It's an annoying one to miss like so closely. In fact, the best place to be is just up here, and I can kind of just bin.
Fuel cells at 50%.
I apologise if anyone suffers from motion sickness. How did they get through? I don't... Oh, there. Not really covered.
Fuel cells at 75%. You're almost there.
Fuck.
Shield placed.
At least one of you has to remain by the charging fuel cells. Get back there. Fuel cells fully charged. Drop pod engine powering up. Hold your ground. We're almost ready to pull you and the goods out.
I was born ready.
Pod reactor spooling up.
Warden down. Now
Onboard mainframe booting. Calculating orbital trajectory. Powering radiation shielding. Ecom operational. Top thrusters calibrated.
Rundle,
Drop pod powered up and ready to
you be today.
Time to bring it all home. Get on board, we're leaving with or without you.
There we go. First mission done. So I hope you just saw the very powerful sort of crowd creating capabilities of Minelayer System. Its ability to also just be a bit of a finishing tool if you need. Like, I mean, where the Trijaws were left on a sliver of health, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just waiting for them to stay still with them firing a rocket their way, you know? It's not exactly unreliable. And also just for general supplementary single target damage like Praetorians we can just take out with the Hurricane in this build, which is kind of nice. Also, point out the light levels. It is the month of November. I live in the land of Britain. This is going to happen. You're going to see varying changes to lighting throughout these videos now, just because of the nature of when I record them as well. I mean, I'm probably never going to end up recording in them, so it's always going to be like this, to be honest. But yeah, there you go. There's a very basic Minelayer System build. Next, well, first of all, I need to make sure I've got a good mission. I don't know if that's going to cut it. Although I can't really do, doesn't look like I can do much better with what we got here. So maybe it will have to cut it. I don't know if I can really, yeah, I'm not gonna. They'll do. Anyway, the next build is much more focused on a synergy between things where both weapons are really good and work extremely well together, but have their own specialities. Kind of depend on one another. Specifically, our secondary depending on our Hurricane. So let's quickly go through the napalm Minelayer. So we still have radius in tier 1, which is interesting, I think, because we're doing stuff with the coil gun where you could argue that we actually don't need radius, but I still think you do. I think that goes just for when it comes to just large groups of enemies. We don't actually use the coil gun. We're not taking Necrothermal Catalyst for area damage. We're taking it for single target damage, and you'll see that. So there's no reason not to use increased blast radius as well. Tier 2, however, bigger jet engine. Why? Because we don't care about armor. Fire doesn't care about armor. The coil gun doesn't care about armor. We don't care about armor. If our missiles move faster, that's a good thing. It's as simple as that. Tier 3, fire rate for actually a similar reason, but also mainly to output the amount of missiles we're going to need in a shorter amount of time. This is specifically useful against things that cool down quickly, which is pretty much just Praetorians and up, where you want to be sort of charging your coil gun before they've actually been set on fire. And if we can output the amount of missiles we need quicker, it's actually very useful. And I hope you can already see why there's a difference there between why you might want to use it on this build compared to the previous one specifically. As in, on the previous build, you could definitely choose between the two. You could go either way, but with this, I hope you can see already why rate of fire is a definitively better idea. Tier 4 is the same, though. Zip fuel, it's still not, where the Hurricane is still for area damage, area of effect, and Zip fuel just really ensures those breakpoints. I don't know if it actually would change the Grunt ignition breakpoint, but I'm too scared to change it. And of course, Tier 5 is napalm infused rounds, which is what the build hinges on, because the coil gun, of course, is a single target necrothermal catalyst thing. Using triple tech chambers. Now this I actually really like, and honestly I only came up with this like 2 days ago. I actually wasn't sure how I was going to do this. Of course, the initial thought was maybe volatile bullets, but I didn't want to do a really standard fire combo build. I wanted to do something kind of a little bit unusual, and that could have been triple tech with like full damage, or obviously it technically is, but with more ammo, or it could have been the usual fire-based coil gun I use, which is actually this guy, which I really like, but I recommend this strongly. This is a really fun, this whole thing is a really fun build. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to use triple tech, and I wanted to use triple tech with controlled magnetic flow, but not for crowd clearing. So what the fuck am I talking about? Well, it has a little bit to do with how triple tech chambers works, and frankly, I forgot how it worked. I forgot that triple tech chambers, for a while, I forgot that it does give you more total damage. And if you haven't read the description for it in a while, it might have slipped your mind as well. Triple tech chambers lets you fire off 2 extra shots from 1 charge in a short window after firing the first shot from that charge. And these shots cost is it a quarter or is it half? It's half the ammo of a normal shot. So 40, they cost 20. We're using controlled magnetic flow, which means you can also fire a shot that is only 20, therefore 10 for each of the triple tech shots, or 10 and then 5 and 5. However, they use half the ammo of a normal shot, but they do 75% of the damage. So you do wind up with more total damage, which is why I wanted to combine taking more damage in tier 1, but using controlled magnetic flow in tier 2, and almost exclusively using 1 or 2 stage charge shots, but with more damage. And what this allows us to do is reach some really weird, nuanced breakpoints for single target damage that you wouldn't normally be able to reach, or you would normally be just pushing over, like going way too far over the limit. So obviously we are losing out on some ammo by not taking ammo in tier 1, but we are never going to be using fully charged shots, or basically never, which means we actually have a very controlled, very ammo efficient coil gun here. It's weirdly intricate, and it's something that I've never seen used before. It's something I've never considered before up until now, and I'm genuinely excited about it. I don't think it's going to like change the meta or anything. Frankly, I don't think I have the power to do that, but I think it's something worth paying attention to. Anyway. Fear trajectory, because it's just easy, reliable crowd control. You know, the fact is it has a higher trajectory radius than the stun one, and it's also a 100% chance. The stun's literally in a smaller radius, and it's a 50% chance to occur. Fear is in a much bigger radius and occurs no matter what. Also, some enemies do have fear thresholds that are actually kind of hard to reach. Therefore, I do believe by having multiple shots, we actually are more likely to fear certain things that have a bit more fear resistance. That might be complete bullshit, but I don't think it is. Tier 4 defense enhancement is not, kind of a weird one, I suppose. But it kind of just feels good in those sort of little windows where you're using the car gun when you might be in trouble. Also, it could potentially be used to save you from full damage. Kind of would have been for it. Necrothermal Catalyst. Now, the effect of it making burning enemies explode when we kill them is going to come into play. definitely, you'll see that a little bit, and it's actually kind of useful. But what we really want is the damage. And I forgot what the damage is. I think it's just 30%, but either way, we do a good amount of damage already, and we're getting more from Necrothermal Catalyst. So it just totals up to being a very effective and sumptuous way to use the coil gun in conjunction with a fire-based hurricane. I wouldn't say there is an inherent benefit to... Actually, that's a lie. I was about to say that I don't know if there's an inherent benefit to Minelayer System for this, but there is. Now, obviously, we are playing the game of controlled magnetic flow, meaning that we don't actually need to be charging as long, sometimes barely at all. But Minelayer System still means we can set enemies on fire preemptively, rather than have the mines that go to set them on fire there when we start charging. Therefore, really just, first of all, getting to hit the enemies sooner. There's less of a break between us dealing damage to the enemy, but it also reduces the chance of them cooling down. So yeah, it just also lead burster. It's the best gun of grenade. If there's an explode, like a bolt detonator, we can just kill it instant. Whatever. Let's get started. I hope you're excited because I am. I really like this build. I also want to mention, by the way, drink first. Napalm Minelayer has always been the way that I use Minelayer System. So I actually didn't have to change the Hurricane itself for this video at all, for this build. I used to use it with a basic homebrew powder bulldog though, which is kind of weird. But I always enjoyed it. And that is actually a build showcase that exists on the channel already. So did I change it to a Burt for that? I'm not sure. Anyway, here's the one thing I don't like is shockers. The main thing I don't like about Dense Biozone, the excessive amounts of shockers. Anyway, set up these gunk seeds to blow. Right, let's get out onto the battlefield. God, I forgot how quick the rockets move, how quick we fire. Well, yeah, I did mention it earlier, but it's also a bit more of a run and gun playstyle. Which I think is kind of fun with a Minelayer type weapon.
Light it up.
But yeah, you'll be seeing me using the coil gun in conjunction with the Hurricane in like just a lot of different contexts. Like a lot of high value targets as well as big single targets will combo against. Alright, it's not actually Glyphid eggs, is it? It's just gunk seeds. Those damn big Glyphid eggs. Right, okay. I'm going to do some mission stuff actually. Or find a good place to start releasing the eggs. Mainly I'm going to collect some nitro. Either way, I guess I'll see you though when some enemies show up. Actually, let me show that pretty quickly. There's a Praetorian that's gunning for me right now. Which is actually a good thing, just for the purpose of showcasing. So let's just set up our mines. Oh, actually, so that was a bit of a mess up on my part. I kind of did a little bit too early. Although Praetorians are the kind of one where, actually no. Praetorians you don't want to be using fully charged shots because it's much more efficient to finish them off with Minelayer System. You set them on fire with Minelayer System. You do like the bulk of the damage with the like a stage 2 charge shot, and then and that's worth doing, by the way, because you don't want to be like in a situation where you use a fully charged shot but then you don't like want to use the extra shots, right? Because it would be excessive. If you're in a situation where you can use the extra shots without it being overkill, that is technically more ammo efficient. That's kind of how we want to do things. A barrage infector, I should be able to do this quite well actually. Hold on. Yeah, it's going to get woken up anyway. Definitely going to go for the full shots as well. Man, how did I miss that? I missed the third shot. Oh well. There we go. Alright, that was fine. Oh, we've got a swarm though, which is good. I guess we'll be dealing with it here.
Upon you.
Charging.
Hello, enemies? Oh no. Actually, I know what to do. Not bad. Better.
Past your expiration date. Warden down. Now kill the rest of them.
This doesn't feel like a Hazard 5 swarm, to be honest.
Almost dealt with. Dispatch whatever's left.
What? Okay. Yeah, honestly, web splitters are actually really weird because it's almost always overkill to use the core gun against them, but they're also really annoyingly hard to hit with Minelayer System. You always end up using more ammo than you'd like. It's weird that I would say, honestly, web splitters are like the only weakness this build has, which is really stupid, by the way. That's a weakness. But I think I'm right. Obviously, we can get close. Hold on, will 2 do it? I think 2, yeah, 2 rockets does it with direct hits. And luckily we do have increased velocity, but it doesn't do all the work either. Anyway, I think I'm gonna have to. Actually, I definitely want to collect some of this nitro over here. Hello.
Come here.
Actually, I want to kill this steam tail properly. By which I mean, start with the fire, and just do that, and it should die. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now it's a stage 2 shot, I think. It's stage 2.
Glad I ain't the one to sort this stuff later.
Anyway.
Die, monsters!
Doesn't look like there's anything extra in this mission either.
Loot bug eliminated!
So let's what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna circle round, but obviously probably cut back to gameplay. Probably whenever I break an egg, to be honest. Actually, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna go destroy these brood nexuses. They're annoying me. So this feels like you could easily put a machine event in here.
Christ! That thing almost ate my pickaxe!
Oh shit, they're waking up. But, like I said, good against swarmers, so this isn't a problem. Shit.
Shield up!
Okay.
Help me mine
Oh,
this!
fuck it. We'll just start breaking eggs here.
I ordered.
Let's get on with this.
Roger that. Supplies are coming.
Yeah, give me some sugar.
Prepare to fight
Really?
for life.
Second swarm immediately.
Come here.
Okay.
Time to restock.
Anyway, you've pretty much seen the exact same things,
by my side.
as you saw in the previous build, except we're probably a bit better against grunt swarms, to be honest, because guards aren't much of a problem because they sort of propagate heat between each other and usually eventually die. But it's not really that different in these basic swarm contexts. It's really against things like certain single targets we are much better against. Pressers, not so much, so it's nice that I have the extra pickaxe damage. But we can still hit them from any angle. It's still a benefit. It's worth pointing out. Now, shockers and web splitters are not the ideal swarm composition for this bit. Should have used a lead burster actually at some point during this. Do it now. Do another one. Do another one.
Yikes! That thing almost took my beard off. Help me mind this.
Okay, that's actually good. Okay, that's actually efficient. It's only 10 ammo, one single core gun shot kills a web splitter. Perfect.
Boom, baby! It's like she's bigger on the inside. Come here, you blind tin can.
Good. So yeah, actually now that actually covers everything.
How's that for spitting, you freak? We gotta locate and destroy the food nexus, or
Oh.
we'll have Cliff and Spawn on our tail forever.
What?
Weapon ready.
You come from?
Think you can kill me?
So I'm trying. Oh, J boots. No, we don't use J boots in these videos. Sorry. Now I'm going to do. I'm going to do some lawn mowing. What's this? Perfect. All right. I'm going to collect some gunk seeds. I want to do something though where I release multiple eggs at the same time, just to get like a big group of enemies. All right. Yeah. I'll see you in a minute.
Your sweet talk.
Here we go. Some substantial pressure wave to spawn, although through Bosco killing exploders, it's mostly gone already. There was an oppressor. Now, where's that gone? I think there was an oppressor.
Access provided.
Oh, there it is. Right, let's kill this thing through the most traditional means possible. Okay, that's fine. I think that's just fairly efficient. That was like 80 core gun ammo overall, but
Lift with your leg.
that's fine, I think, for an oppressor.
Reload. Just what the doctor.
Anyway, let's try and spawn a big group of enemies,
Grabbing ammo.
shall we?
Donkey, come here. Right there. Mind
That one. There you go. Watch them crawl.
My sleep at this point.
Lucky chockers.
I'm gonna kill you all. Flares recharging.
Bastard things.
Follow me, Bosco.
impressed.
Be gone!
Damn it!
Make every bullet count! I was born ready.
Right, did I actually deploy both blade legs? Anyway, I think hopefully all the synergies here are just bleeding through, like in like sort of plain sight. You know? There's nothing that we're really weak against here, and I do think the synergies feel pretty good in the weapons. Menace, however, now menaces are actually we're actually quite good against because of how menaces work. They're most likely to get scared and burrow away when you start damaging them. Meaning we can have this is like a situation with the oppressors as well. We can have all of the mines that we need to set it on fire laid just right next to it. And then they'll just go off in quick succession as we're charging a coil gun shot. Which just makes it generally quite easy to take out. And then the coil gun disrupts it anyway by fearing it, meaning that it won't burrow away after the first shot. So it just comes together very well. The only problem is it's not the most accurate thing in the world, you can see, which means it's actually sometimes quite easy to accidentally hit the menace, which has happened to me a couple of times while practicing, so keep that in mind. But if you can just hit all the shots right next to it, and then quickly start charging a coil gun shot, you'll be in a position to take down a menace with, like, well, just with ease, really. Oh, I didn't. No. Last take was over. Yeah. Alright, I think I'm going to wrap this mission up quickly. See you in a minute. I'm going to make an elevator plant scream. This might take a while. There we go. Don't need to be here.
Help me mine this. Deployed up. Damn flares could need an upgrade.
Alright, let's just go as soon as possible, I think.
Overclock requisitioned. Launching now. Egg collection completed. Well done. Call the escape pod in when ready. That's how you do it. Drop pod is on the way.
See, we can use necrothermal catalyst as a AoE tool.
Ready
Why
to
not?
kill some more crates. Much better.
I want to do some stupid gymnastics, I think.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 5 minutes.
Drop pod isn't waiting for Emma. Zip line ready.
Didn't need to do that, really. Just wanted to show off, basically.
Recharging.
The mule is secured. Initiating launch sequence. Deep Rock Galactic.
There you go, that was Minelayer System. Just a very powerful, very efficient, but playstyle limiting overclock. But also not really, because it's so efficient that you can use it in so many contexts aside from flying enemies, which your secondary can be built to cover for. I will say the exception is mainly shockers, actually. It's very hard to cover for that for a secondary that is built for single or HVT target killing. Because they're just very small, but large groups of one-shot enemies. It's the kind of thing that Minelayer System would be fantastic against, but it can't really hit them. So you need to be aware of that, and obviously you can use things like your pickaxe and just a little bit of clever positioning. And sometimes you can use Minelayer System, just find it bits like of protruding terrain that the shockers can't really avoid. That's usually the best way to do it. So it is very possible. So the weaknesses are kind of minimal, And even though they're real, there definitely are weaknesses here. They're the kind of thing where the overclock does genuinely outperform them. And that's how I think it should be. Overclocks should have, balanced and unstable overclocks should definitely have tangible weaknesses, and their penalties should be felt, but their bonuses are still meant to overcome that and make the gun, like, it's still meant to be an overall upgrade. And Minelayer System is more than an upgrade, but it is still a significant playstyle alteration and limitation. And that's a really good and comprehensive way to construct an overclock. It just feels great to play with and to build around and to just have as part of your arsenal. So I just have a lot of respect for it. So it's a hard recommend for the overclock. It's a hard recommend for both of the builds that I showed off today. So as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and Rogue Core, then make sure to hit the bell as well. Now it's time to find out what our next overclock will be. Which is of course going to be for the sludge pump. Look at this guy, isn't he beautiful? So how this works is, I mean, if you're here at all, you probably know how this works by now. But basically, we use just a wheel of fortune to select the next overclock. We count the overclocks on the weapon from 1 to whatever it is. So in this case, it's 1 to 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We already did combustive goo mix, so we are going from 2 to 7 on the wheel, which I'm just going to bring up right now. Oh, we're still on Carl, that's fine, but here's the wheel, bit of tank top master for you in the background, and now we spin to find out what our sludge pump overclock is going to be. I genuinely don't have any biases either, like actually none. Even though, like actually that might be the only one I might have said I don't want. But even then, that's not really true. So yeah, we got. We'll turn back to the recording, or the game. We got the Disperser compound, which is a wonderful balanced sludge pump overclock. I mean, to be honest, it's probably the best sludge pump overclock. But I can definitely build it more than one way, obviously. But yeah, and that'll be next week. Either way, we'll see you again on Saturday. Well, I'm not sure actually. This Saturday coming, we'll just have to see. We might do a normal video, and if we do, it's probably not going to be a podcast. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, thanks again. And, well, hold on a minute. Let's end this properly. And I shouldn't be Driller, should I? Be Gungler. I'm the Gungler. What's an appropriate beer for Minelayer System? I guess it would be Flintlock's Delight, wouldn't it? You know, actually, I'm going to be weird. I'm going to drink a Hidden Dwarf by myself. Isn't it done? I assume it turns you into a prop. I assume if you're just by... Oh, it doesn't. Makes you the hunter, which is kind of pointless. I mean, would it actually do anything? Yeah. I guess I can just sort of throw these things. I should have remembered, actually, we really should play around a prop hunt during whenever there's an event on, because obviously it changes the props to have like the props of the event. Like, so I guess we'd probably be ghosts and things, or pumpkins. Should be pretty fun, but kind of miss the opportunity to do that. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.